Okay, so we welcome Alex now, Alex Burke, who has taught at all levels of the Japanese public education system, from kindergarten to university since 2005. In that time, she has closely observed classroom interactions and taught with students about which activities and methods increased their autonomy and confidence, and noticing which created barriers for neurodiverse students. Based on wide reading of international best practice on inclusive teaching, in collaboration with Japanese colleagues, she has trialed a number of culturally appropriate changes to methods and classroom management that promote inclusion. Her professional background in public policy and equitable access to services, she has presented within Japan, overseas, and currently teaches at 4 universities. Just to also inform you, captions are available. I have turned them on. From my point of view, I think you have to turn them from your Zoom setup. Alex wants to make that clear for reasons that will become clear. Thank you very much, Alex. Please take over.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for giving us your time. I'm going to share my screen and let's get this thing going. Just one moment. Of course, it does that thing that the Zoom does that thing that it does that thing that it does. Okay, here we go. Share. Oh, it's got the wrong screen. Just a minute. Stop share. Okay, once more. Okay, let's put this to play. Right. Okay. My topic is on strategies for helping. Can you see it? So my screen's saying it's paused at the moment. It's okay. Oh, okay, that's interesting. The Zoom's telling me it's paused. Right. My topic is on learning differences, students with learning differences and strategies for success. And full disclosure, I grew up in a household of people with neurodiversity. I'm actually dyslexic myself. I didn't realize how dyslexic I was until I did the Cambridge CELTA recently, and that's when I found out I was really dyslexic. And I assumed that I hadn't been because my version of dyslexia had never been discovered yet. Mine is that I can read, but when I write, my the writing comes out sort of slightly disorganized, and so I might start on the wrong letter, or maybe I might miss something. But I'm extremely good at editing. Don't know why, but I'm really, really good at spotting things in other people's work. So what I'm interested in is the overlap between a whole lot of things, such as ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, dyslexia, dysgraphia, autism, color differences, and hearing, because I spent a lot of time watching how students learned in the classroom, and I spent a lot of time watching how teachers interacted with the students. And I closely observed how Japanese students look at their books, look at their textbooks, how they organize their desks, how they interact with the blackboard, etc. So I'm in this class, this talk I'm going to look at classroom changes and teacher changes and a bit about the environment. But because I know that everybody likes to know what they're going to get in the future, I'm going to show you that you are going to get to make everybody calm down. You can see, is the other slides moving?
So Alex, if you could just make it full screen.
Okay, hang on, I'll just make that full screen.
Yeah,
it's not full screening. Yeah, it should be showing full screen.
Okay.
Okay, right. Okay, now it's a Zoom window. Zoom, share screen. Okay, right. Okay, what have you got now?
Okay. It's just a loading bit. It just says has started screen sharing.
Right. This was working perfectly.
Yeah, rehearsal, it was fine.
Absolutely fine. It's been perfect all day. So, okay, stop that. And just going to quickly close Keynote and open it again.
Okay.
Very sorry about this. Okay, so right, reopening Keynote.
Is Alex frozen?
My Keynote has disappeared. Keynote's just gone.
Oh,
I had Keynote open on work and it was ready and it has just stopped functioning. So sorry, I'm just getting it to reopen Keynote. Right. Okay, and right, I'll go back to share. Here we go. Oh, let's try this one. Right.
Okay, we can see it.
Yep, but it's still too small.
Yeah, but if they switch over.
No, I want it to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it needs to work.
You've got to
Okay,
hit
what about
play
that?
on it before you share it. I think that'll, yeah.
Yeah, is that working?
I think if you stop sharing and then hit play
we
and
can see
then
fine,
select
so
the
it's
window.
This is what you call excruciating. Okay, what have you got
There
now?
we go. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Working?
Yes,
Yes,
perfect.
Thank goodness. Okay, good one. Right now, so I'll just go forward. Okay, to let you know that you don't have to worry about what you're getting and that you don't have to take lots of notes, you're actually going to get a massive document which has a lot of things in it. You can also write questions on that if you would like to. You can write things on it afterwards, and this is called a Padlet, and I use them in classes, and it's very, very handy. So there's lots and lots of references inside this document. Now, just quickly, there's been a bit of Ministry of Education activity on the issue of inclusion and making the learning environment better for students. And as of 2019, there is a barrier-free reading law. And what that means, if you look at the little diagram there, is that basically anyone who has difficulty reading printed text is legally entitled to have access to audio. They are entitled to have access to an environment that allows them to read in the way that is helpful for them. And for dyslexics, that may well be that they need audio, and that was certainly my case was. Full disclosure, I actually dropped out of high school despite having very, very good ability to analyze things, to do things, to ask questions. The reason I dropped out was because I had teacher feedback, which was always, oh, your handwriting's not neat enough, you don't care. If you cared about this, you would be trying harder to be neater. And so the effect was that I would end up with a blank page with holes in it because I'd erase everything, every lesson. And this has went on for years. And it's, and then I became a professional musician, got paid, and off I went and did that And then I ended up going to, by accident, I got back into education by going to getting a job where somebody said, okay, you look like management material, let's put you in there. And so I went into that. And then from there, I got encouraged to go to university. So I did. And that was right when suddenly computers broke out onto everybody's desktop. And so I could study on a computer. And that made all the difference. And when I've done studying in about dyslexia and who makes it through university, the answer overwhelmingly is students who have access to tech. And a survey of 2002 survey of students with learning differences in mainstream classes in Japan, it was just published in December, was that there is an 8% prevalence of kids who appear to have no intellectual issues, but have difficulty functioning in terms of reading and writing in a class. Elementary school, 8%, junior high school, 8%. And then we hit the merit-based rule at high school, and suddenly the percentage drops to 2.2%. So those other students are not going into the public high school system. They're going somewhere else. They could be dropping out, but they're not going into the public high school system. And that if you're going to a private school, the economic cost of the family is much higher. So there is an economic disadvantage to students. And so the reading barrier-free law is meant to help overcome that problem. And so what that means for you as teachers is you will have more students coming into universities who have things like dyslexia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, etc. And now let's go to help teachers with this. I'm one of the people working on a book, chapter book, which is called Barrier-Free Instruction in Japan. This is coming out this year, and it's coming out from Candleton and Maynard Publishing. And I am one of the editors, along with Mr. Davey Young, who is a PhD candidate, and Dr. Melody Cook of the University of Niigata. Now, next slide. Okay, we've got, here's my battery slide. The purpose of the battery slide is to show you that for a neurotypical person, when they're studying and learning, they're using about 1 bar. But if you've got a person who's got dyslexia, they are using about 5 times more brain energy to do the same task. So it's not in terms of a quality thing, it's actually that it takes them more energy. And these little icons down the bottom here about blood oxygen, when you're sitting down for an extended period, your blood oxygen is going to drop, which means you are not going to be able to concentrate. If you make your students stand up, they will get a 15% increase in blood oxygen to the brain. So it's a bit of neuroscience for you. And the practical answer to that is when you've talked to your students for 10 minutes, you watch the ones who are starting to fiddle. And as soon as they're starting to fiddle, you get everybody to stand up and review what they've just done. Okay, I've got some quite a bit of dense text in here, I'm afraid. But the consequences of exiting education early are that you are more likely to be homeless, you are more likely to smoke and to drink, or to use drugs. You are likely to have heart disease earlier in life. You may well end up with kidney disease because you have a whole lot of coping mechanisms that are connected to having the ability to do things, but not having the pieces of paper that other people do. So you don't have a sense of legitimacy in society. So, and there's really, really strong data on this across every country. And yeah, that's well, so what we are doing in every single year of classroom education, we have an opportunity to reset. And so you can either be part of assuming that the students are not performing well because their motivation is low, or you can assume that there will be students in your class that you are not aware of having learning differences. Of the kids who do have learning differences, only about 1 in 9 parents wants to do something about it. So the majority of them are going to go through the system without having access to support that they might need. So this is where we need to start thinking about what's different between students and you and me, what's going on. So I have here a short anonymous survey on learning for you. And I would like to invite you to, click on, to scan that link and do the survey. It won't collect your name. And let's just have a look at what are the differences between people in the room. You know, do we all learn the same way? Do we learn differently? What have we got? So please have a go at the link, and then I'm going to share the results with you. And again, it's all anonymous. Is the screen share still working?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks good.
Excellent. Phew, I can get back to my other pages. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, don't worry, all good, all good.
No, not for me, it's not. Oops. Has a Google form dropped in there or not? So I'll get that out of the way. Okay. All right. So I'll just give you.
Someone's just requested if you can put a link in the chat because they can't.
Oh, okay. Yep.
see their
Yep.
device.
Coming up with that. Here we go. Right. I'll just grab that. Get a copy and into the chat. Okay, everyone. And right, there you go. Here's the Google Doc. I've got quite a few people have already filled it out. And to anyone who's listening who's from outside of Japan, I'm only talking in terms of the context of studying inside Japan. Every other country has slightly different approaches to inclusion and in terms of what they offer in systems, etc. So I got, yep, more people, yeah, responses are racing in, fantastic. Yep, and they come, lots and lots. Okay, we've got 28 people here at the moment. We've got 22 responses and they seem to be slowing down. So if everybody has put something in, everybody who wants to has put something in, I will just pause on that and I'll start sharing the data from that for you to have a look at. Okay. All right, I think that's slowed down. Now let's have a look at these. Okay, share screen. And let's go to right. You see the data? Right, let's have a look. So we've got right, what have we got? Now you can look at that for yourselves. So we do have some people in the room who don't hear a voice when they're reading, and some people who do, and some people it depends. If we had students in this group, there would be a group of people who say that reading is hard for me. Absolutely, definitely, there would be that group in here. Now, next, another interesting one. Do you see a picture in your mind of what you're reading? And again, this is a different profile to what you see with students. Students will be predominantly yes. So this is actually changing. This number is going up. And for somebody like me, everything I read, I have a video running of everything I read. It's just automatic video, which is why it takes me longer to do things. Okay, you find it easier to take notes. Okay, some people have said, yeah, taking notes is harder. So it's definitely hard for me, which is why I like to rely on technology. Most of my university, I actually recorded most of the lectures and listened to them again. I've got very good auditory to recall. Okay, do you like writing by hand? Got some no's. And which hand do you write with? This is really interesting. We've got a higher proportion of left-handers than normal. Normally we would have about, it would normally be about a 12% split, left-right split, with a few people are ambidextrous. Any other comments? No other comments? Does this work? Yes, I hope it does. Okay, so right now I would like to, I'll stop that share, and I'm going to invite you to go into a breakout very quickly. And slideshow gone. Okay. Right, I'd like you to go into, so I want you to think about what you've just seen and heard, and thinking about this issue, the importance of smaller steps. You don't know what your students have got when they come to your classroom. If it doesn't disadvantage anybody else, would it hurt to do more? Or what are the, what do you think after seeing this information? Okay, so let's go into discussion group 1 for 3 minutes. You're going to be put into random groups and just talk together. Okay, if you wouldn't mind, Richard, just dropping people into breakouts.
Yep.
Thank you.
Should be going in now.
Okay, great. Few people are here in the main room or
Yeah,
away from their desks.
Yeah, I always invite like them with breakout rooms.
You don't do the automatic send them.
Right, no, I don't. Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, I always invite. Yeah, maybe that was an error, but yeah, I always invite so then they get the choice if they really want to do it. But yeah, maybe these guys don't. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they're doing something else. Okay, there's a couple of people who are on their own.
Yeah, I'll just shift them around. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, like as somebody says in the chat, they won't be joining breakout rooms, so that's the reason.
Yep, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yep.
But you're right, I gotta keep an eye on the ones on their own because that's no good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're all together now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a couple have got. We're not there. Okay. Not going to give them much longer.
Okay.
How long have they had so far? They've had about
a minute and a half. Yeah.
Minute and a half. Okay. A tiny bit longer. Okay.
Yep. Sure.
Let's see if there's been any.
Yeah, I've had people in the past where I put them in a breakout room and the Wi-Fi just blocks out as well.
Yep. Gotcha. Now, how's my timing running? Timing is
yes, it's 4:45.
Yep. How long do I have? I've got until 5.
Yeah, well, 5 is a 5-minute warning, so yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
You're welcome to like go all the way to 5 to 5 and then do a Q&A, like, and people staying here.
Thank you. I don't want to disadvantage you, the next presenters, so.
No, of course.
Yep.
Okay, so that's about 3 minutes. So I'll just close all the rooms now.
Yep. Okay.
least the slides are dead clear now.
Oh, good. I was hoping they would be. Okay, are people back?
They'll be back in about
30 seconds.
Yeah, sorry, I do 2 minutes and then it's 1 minute to get back kind of thing.
Yep, no worries.
20 seconds.
Okay. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So I hope that was useful to have a moment to talk together and to just think about something that might be different for each other. Okay. So here's my overall strategy about inclusive classrooms. You have to look at your classroom usage. You need access materials, you need tolerance of diversity, and you need to provide sufficient challenge. And that was an issue, definitely an issue for me at school, because the teachers would say, if you can't write neatly, you can't do the interesting stuff. And that did not work. That's just like, yeah, bye, thanks very much. I was not interested. And I had teachers who I'd ask them about mathematic things, like, well, why is this always this? And the teacher would say, it just is. You just have to believe me. And that, again, does not work with these students. It also, you might get some of these students who, if you try to force them to do something, say they're doing really well in other sort of parts of the course, but you try to force them to do a particular thing, which is maybe only worth 5%, and they can't do it, and you can't help them, then you are better off just like, okay, don't care about that one. Just let them through to stop them dropping out. And why is that important? One of my kids actually dropped out of university from a course that they really wanted to do because the teacher said, no, you must push through for this thing worth 5%. Bye. And it's just, I was so heartbroken watching this happening again. So if you can get your inclusion right, your interaction goes up, your output goes up, your group cohesion goes up, trust goes up, and the length of time they stay in education continues. And that is the gold standard if you keep people in the school system. If they drop out before they finish high school, approximately, I think it's 69% of men will be lifetime smokers and 49% of women will be lifetime smokers, compared to 6% of women who graduate from who do postgraduate degrees in Japan, and about 19% of men who do postgraduate degrees in Japan. So those are pretty frightening statistics, and they are a one-way ticket to early heart disease. So yeah, education is a health issue. Right. Okay, studies on reading. Books are better. They usually exclude anyone with difficulty reading or psychological disorders. And I have carefully put a few select excerpts here, and I have cut out the names of the people who did these studies because it's embarrassing. For example, before they could participate in the study, it was explained to everybody none of them had a history of neurological or psychological disorders, which means you had no dyslexics, nobody with ADHD, nobody with anxiety in the study. Second one, this is a meta-analysis of studies from 2000 to 2017. Hundreds of studies. This particular research has thousands of citations saying paper is to say yes, paper is best. Participants are a sample from a normative population, typical development, no reading difficulties, no cognitive impairments or disorders. If you have a reading difficulty, you are going to have anxiety. If you have ADHD, you are going to have anxiety. So paper is not best for everybody, but they are not testing on people who are different. And I would be wiped from any of these studies. And left-handeds and right-handeds. People generally, some of them kick out the left-handers. So if anybody who's left-handed in here, if you feel offended, I feel pretty offended too. Right. Your students, if you're one of those people that is now worried about chat, chat AI, and you're thinking about putting your students into doing writing by paper, think about the fact that they may have had their handedness corrected by somebody. And I've heard of these instances as recently as 2 years ago, people being invited to have their child's left-handedness fixed. I have seen, thanks Gretchen, I have seen things in, if you're working in a computer lab, in a language lab, just check the mouse pads. Are they glued to the desk? If they are glued to the desk, they're going to be right-handed. So just ask the uni to supply a box of loose ones so that left-handers can use left-handed mouse mats. I literally had a student cry when I handed him a mouse mat. So I gave the thing about dyslexia here, but I'll leave that for a later thing because we don't have much time. It's about a dyslexia test for adults, but I'll put that in another section. Now, what our students are missing is exposure to spoken English. And this is a brain study from Fatma Deniz. She's a researcher and MRI researcher in this area. This is the difference between reading and listening. If you can see a really big difference between reading and listening, you're welcome. There is not a really big difference. And we have, that's the beauty of text to speech, is that you can listen to it and take it in. You can study anywhere at all, anytime. So if you are able to give your students access to audio, that will increase their motivation to speak. Okay, fonts. If you are using fonts, the best practice is to use a universal design font. You might think that an academic font might look better, but in reality, a universal design font is going to work better for most students. If you make the line spacing of 1.15, this is going to work well. If you are teaching very young students, there's a font called Open Dyslexic Alt A, which is really good for young learners. So if you're teaching education undergraduates, this would be a good thing to advocate for them to use in their classroom for young children, because that font shows you which way up a letter goes. The one above it in Japanese is called UD Digital Kyokasho font, and that is now used by MEXT as a standard. It's on any computer with Windows 10. If you put that as a default font on your computer, all of your stuff will be easier to read automatically. You will just, this is how you can just instantly break down a barrier. Next, okay, ADHD. This is what normal ADHD is for a student in a classroom. The student will be at the back of the classroom because that's where they have been since they're in about year 2. They've been sitting at the back so that it's easier for a teaching assistant to help them. But they might also be thinking about wanting to go outside. They might be hungry and they might be thinking about the weather. There will be a fish tank in the room, which is making a noise. There will be somebody drawing something. And you've got here, I've got this little symbol about ticks and crosses. An ADD student in America, that studies showed that an ADD student will be, by year 6, will have 20,000 more negative interactions with a teacher than a non-ADHD student. 20,000. Now, if it takes 7 positive interactions to outweigh 1 negative one, if you have a student who's come into your school, they have made it to university and they've got ADD, they have fought so hard to stay in the system, then they really need to be protected. Okay, this is what treated ADD looks like. A person with a treated ADHD is able to isolate and turn off some of the noises. The noise of the fish tank will go down. They'll still be hungry. They'll still have a few other things, but they are more likely to focus. And you will not know that these students are there. If they're treated, you will have no idea that there's an ADD student in the class, and quite likely the parents won't diagnose. They won't disclose. The opportunity for disclosing, being diagnosed comes up about every 20 to 30 years when the next generation has children. And there'll be this little window when the parents make that decision. Do I admit there's something going on, or do I keep quiet? If they say keep quiet, this will continue another 30 years. And this is hyperfocus, the paradox. Why can they do that, but they can't do the other things? Because they want to do something that's fun. Fun things are good. So if you make your teaching fun and interesting and challenging, they will focus. And when you actually notice that your most difficult students are focusing, remember that activity and you reuse it, rinse and repeat, because that is a good activity. Working memory with texts. If you're giving students new material and they've got a textbook, I directly recommend that you get students to write the meaning of new words directly in the text in Japanese, because they will need about 30 to 40 exposures to the meaning before they will actually internalize it. And if it's written right there, what's happening is they're not having to look somewhere else, or they're not having to look across other things. And it's that point of moving across to other things, like a list next to it or another book, that breaks concentration, that increases cognitive load. So some students will have been told writing in the textbook is disrespectful, and they will have been encouraged not to do it. And a lot of kids are going to want to sell their books on Mercari. They're just going to want to do that. Some of them who've got limited funds. And might happen. So those students, you get them to write a memo on a note. Next. Okay. Value ideas, not perfection. Worry about the content. Don't worry about don't worry about the content of it, particularly if you're going to be making students handwrite again, because that's going to be really, really hard for students. Never use if you try. That is the worst expression. Encourage them. Just say, you will be okay. You will be okay. I believe in you. You need to get that message to students many, many times. Praise them. Okay, use universal design for chalk. This is what the impact of color blindness is. In Japan, statistically, you will have one student who has color blindness in your class. In a class of 20, there'll be one male student who is colorblind. They may not know that they're colorblind. They will not know what the colors are. That's the difference. Okay, if you're using a whiteboard, that's what happens on a whiteboard. You might think that the red pen is really good to making a highlight, but it's not. Okay, better option is purple, but it's hard to find a purple whiteboard pen. Okay, handwriting. Look at the one at the top right-hand side. This is black pen and pencil, and this is red pen on there. It looks very, very easy for a neurotypical person, but for a person who has Deuteronomy or protonomy, it's going to be hard. Next, go to your classroom, sit in the back seat in your classroom and look at your board or look at your slides. If you see this kind of thing going on, any reflections happening, do something about it. Change where the monitor is. If the students are sitting on the right-hand side of the room, they are not going to see a lot of the blackboard. Just can't see it. Okay, use visual things. This is from Betty Azar, grammar charts, showing people how to use past, present, and future using concrete objects. Really, really helpful. And put a timeline on the board. Using timelines is brilliant. I've got a good resource on those. Again, it's all from the work of Betty Azar. Okay, now classroom activities. What I did here was an activity to work on where students were talking about somebody. So, for example, I got students to write about a famous person from somewhere. And so what they were doing was that the students were putting in the name, they got the name in, and then they kept writing he, or I, or something like that, and all the way through. So to change that, I got them to line up all of their sentences and then to highlight all the pronouns. And we looked at the time ones, and what we wanted to do, we want to end up with is a pattern of who the person is, he something or other, in what year, So is the most, like to use a superlative, back to the so teaching people that circuit of how many times you can use he before you go back to a pronoun. 5-minute warning, okay, 5-minute warning, right. Another thing, I got students to write on the board. Somebody mentioned about having students who were from different cultures in the classroom. This activity I had students do, they were data students, they did a survey, a role play activity in a survey, and I wanted them to tally their results and to check that their data, whether their data was correct or not, because they collected data on a small form about their customers. And what we have here is these things are how to use a tally system in Vietnam. So in my culture, I would use stroke, 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 slash, and in Japanese culture and some other Asian cultures, you would use the kanji for tadashi, which has got 5 strokes, but in Vietnam, you would use this 1, 2, 3, 4 slash. So all the students got an experience of trying something in a different culture. Next, break up the cycle of the few hands or no hands. Use the Wheel of Fortune. Students love it. It doesn't matter whether they're serious or not. They absolutely love the Wheel of Fortune. You use that, they love it. Okay, discussion group 2, got a couple of minutes. This is going to have to be shorter. I would like you to go to this Google link and just write, what do you think you would take from today very quickly in a breakout room. I'm just going to grab the link. Okay, and share. Okay, and okay, anyone with this link can anyone with the link can edit it and go in there. Okay, copying the link, and I'll drop the link in the chat, and off you go to please either scan that, work from there, or and right, it's a Google document there. So ideally you would go into a breakout room.
Okay,
I don't know if we've got time. Yeah.
Oh, we can try.
We can try. Couple of minutes, we can try.
So the breakout rooms are slightly bigger numbers just because not everybody
sure.
went last time.
Yep.
But,
okay, just throw them in there. Let's see what happens.
yeah, they're all in who wants
They're
to.
all in who's going in.
Yes.
Good one. Okay. Right.
No, you did well. You did well, because I'm sure you condensed some of your stuff.
Oh hell yeah. Yep. And I threw a couple of extra slides in.
Did
so,
you?
yeah,
Well done. Well done.
Yeah, I just sort of slammed it all in there. Gretchen's already watched this a couple of times.
Okay.
And last thing is I'll leave them with the Padlet. They can do that stuff on there and they can write to me. So
Yeah, absolutely. Because also that's just useful as a learning tool in general. Like, yeah, you know.
Yeah. So I can't understand why bloody Google goes nuts. I don't mean why Keynote goes nuts.
Yeah,
was
and like
perfect.
this morning it was absolutely fine.
And I had it, and I practiced in the interim.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the dual monitors. Like, it also, maybe the system was overloaded because I spent most of the time lurking around the chat room, lurking around listening. The Zoom might have hit my computer.
Yeah.
It's a bit old.
Yeah, the social room is an interesting one. I feel like I'm lurking too. I don't know when to jump in and not. Yeah. Yep. It's not like real life, you know. But yeah.
So there's a few people. In different rooms. You can see them hanging out in there. More audio to accompany text. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even mind if there's not many of them. Like, if yep, they're just typing away. And, okay, we're already out of time now. What time does the next presentation start?
It starts at 5:15.
Oh, by 15. Okay, that's all right. Got time.
Well, that's okay because they're not physically moving somewhere, are they? So they're just.
No. Oh, they're staying here, are they?
No, but it's still just a link, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to drop the links into the chat?
Good idea. I am now. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I put them in as a separate, each as 2 separate links. Room 1, room 2. Sorry, I've been haranguing you.
Not at all, not at all. I'm new to this, so I'm learning.
Hey, you're doing a good job.
Oh, you're very kind. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'll stick the 1 minute timer, like, well, it's automatic. They'll be back within a minute.
Mm-hmm. Is that set? How many minutes did we get them? 5 minutes?
It was about 3 or 4, but it's 5 or
Yep.
6 now. So I've just bring them back now.
There's a couple of them are hanging around in blank pages. They're sort of lurking. I can see them on there, sort of like I could see one person, a couple of people who are down digging around in empty rooms.
Maybe they're thinking about it. I don't know. Each to their own.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
that's the message of your presentation. So we're all different learners, and we're all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
I don't know why they would be on a empty screen. But okay.
No, that's fine. They can do what they like. So
yeah. No.
Yeah. Yep. I'm shocking about the PowerPoint. Sort of, I'm not able to do them as easily as. But okay, people are coming back.
Yep.
Hey, here's some familiar faces in the crowd. Yep. So. Right. Okay. Thank you very much, people. We're going to condense this and share it to you, to people who would like to have that shared. We're going to condense it and share it, so you can all have a look at what each other's ideas were. Because people are still in their writing at the moment, and yeah, it was very condensed time. Now, what we've got else is to the next one. Okay, next slide. The keynote. Okay. Oh, the Padlet. Gosh, just a minute. Okay, here's the Padlet. It's going to create the. I'll just drop a link for that in the chat. Okay. Okay, here it comes. Copy. Drop this in here. And, oops. No, I just have to put the code in into the link in, basically. Sorry, 1 second. All of my sleeping links have woken up. Closed. Okay, right. Okay, I'm going to put the link into. Copy the link. I'm going to drop this Padlet link into the chat, and you will be welcome to write in here. And I've given you the Padlet link because it's also an excellent tool for students. And so basically, when you go into the Padlet, there'll be a little tiny corner here, little mark in the corner. And you can click on that and you can start writing. And if you see something that's in there that's interesting to you, you can comment underneath it. So this is what the this is what the Padlet looks like. And okay, this is the Padlet. Okay, you can see that now. So basically, there are lots and lots of articles in here. There's things, there's copies of articles that I've done in the past, which were in TLT, in the language teacher, things from posters, things from British Dyslexia Association, MEXT ministry guidelines, accessibility guidelines, things on how to make your classroom more diverse, things that how people in Japan might experience dyslexia. And lots of resources, things on ADHD, things I like, and things on how to use voice dictation in Microsoft Word. There's also one for how to use it in Google. and how to make things, the color vision app that I use to do the slides, and things for talking to, what to do with parents. Yeah, I'm going to just leave this with you, and you can just basically click on it and you can write on there. And so what happens if something or other, my system's a little slow, and you just hit publish. So you write your thing and you hit publish, and up it goes. It's right there. Comes up as an anonymous comment at the top. Okay, so you can hop in there and write, but we have only 3 minutes before our next presentation. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much. And thank you very much for listening. And please enjoy the resources. And we would like to share some of this output with you.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Alex, so much.
Thank you.
Now, this room, for people who want to speak to Alex further, you can stay in this room. If you want to join the other presentations, which are starting momentarily, the room 1 and room 2 links are in the chat. But if you have any questions for Alex, please.
You'd be absolutely welcome to ask them.
Yep. That's what I was
If
trying
you
to
have any batteries left.
Alex.
Yes.
I'm going to whiz off to the other room, but I just wanted to say, I think I was in a Cambridge training with Jim. And
right, hang on a second. I'm trying to find who I'm looking at. Oops. Okay, who's speaking?
Thomas.
Tom. Oh, yes. I remember you, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kagoshima?
No, I'm down in Nagoya, but we shared.
Nagoya, yeah.
We did an online training thing with Cambridge, and you mentioned the whole the red fonts thing during that training group, and that was kind of this time last year. And this year, I've been, because I was aware of that, I sort of was checking that situation on our campus, and interesting that the rooms with whiteboards have with marker boards have black pens, red pens, and that's usually it, something blue. But the rooms with chalk have they have much more choice. I tried to go through and like sort of take all the red things away, but getting replaced. But
of course they were.
That's maybe something we can ask our departments, would be can we have more choice of pen ink?
The simply most effective thing is to download the app, which is on the Padlet, the color